Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back. And obviously, I'm not Dan, and I don't sing, so I'm going to ask Lee to come up and lead us in our song.
Our kind Heavenly Father, Lord, what a blessing this is. A little heaven here on earth. And I pray that you promised if 2 or 3 are gathered together in your name, you'd be smack dab in the middle. And I pray that you would join us today as we speak of the health message, very much a part of the gospel. And I pray that you touch Charmaine, that you would bring us a message that we can take home with us. And we can be good stewards of the tabernacle you've given us. In Jesus' worthy name I pray, amen. Amen. It's little, what's his name? Yeah. Brother Dan took Carol to take care of a problem that she was having, and we were hoping they'd be back, but hopefully they'll be back to hear Charmaine. If they preach a different gospel from the one that we delivered to you, let them be accursed. That's Paul. It's some pretty strong talk, isn't it? But we want to keep that in mind. If they lay a different gospel on you from the one that you got out of your Bible, let them be accursed. That doesn't sound like what I heard on Grandpa's knee. That's sure not the gospel that my mama taught to me. That doesn't ring true, I'm telling you. Better take a second look. Compare it with all those treasures that you find inside God's book. If there's no family reunion, no happy end, no promise of eternity to spend, if there's no spilt blood, no tears of joy, no white robe of righteousness, then that's just not the gospel, my dear friend. Paul the apostle warned, beware of what you swallow. God's Spirit will lead you to the road that you should follow. And if they preach a different gospel, let them dear friend. If there's no good news, no paid up dues, no mansions for you and me, well, that's simply not the gospel, my dear friend. That's sure not the gospel. Just can't be God's gospel. That's just not the gospel, my dear friend. Wow. We don't have those books, though, do we? Yeah, because they don't have those books. I don't know. No. Great is thy faith. Boy, that's a great song. Yeah, the problem is, what key do you want to do it in? Hmm? Great is thy faithfulness, O God, my Father. Yeah. Hey, we can do that. Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, that's. Can you put Father's House on the screen? Should be on the desktop there. Oh, well, I don't know that one. My apologies. Yeah. Yeah. I don't have a license. Okay. DUI? Yeah. We're in Father's house. We are not alone. We're in Father's house. Make yourself at home. A blessing table spread. There's plenty to go around. We're all family here. We're in Father's house. Just inside the door, you can hear the sound. Joy and laughter ring. Peace and love abound. Feel the warm embrace that draws you near. This is His dwelling place. You are welcome here. We're in Father's house. We are not alone. We're in Father's house. Make yourself at home. A blessing table spread. There's plenty to go around. We're all family here. We're in Father's house. If one path you down a road of fear, don't reaching out to His light is shining bright. Now your search is through. We're in Father's house. We are not alone. We're in Father's house. Make yourself at home. A blessing table spread. There's plenty to go around. We're all family here. We're in Father's house. We're all family here. We're in Father's Yeah, they don't know, but that's. We do it? Yeah. Hey, this is still on. Huh? Yeah. Want to do that? Okay. He silently came to the Lord by the light of the moon under cover of night, saying, Master, we know you are sent from the Father, a teacher of goodness and light. The Master replied gently, O Nicodemus, you're a virtuous man among men, but you're born of the flesh, and to see God's kingdom, you need to be born again. That which is born of the flesh is flesh, and needs to receive a new birth. Unless flesh is reborn by water and spirit, it cannot inherit the earth. It's futile to curry the friendship of mammon, to win the approval of men. 'Cause we're born of the flesh, and to see God's kingdom, we need to be born again. Render to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and give God what's rightfully his. And don't seek applause from the hip and the savvy. The world just is what it is. Have nothing to do with the sham and the shuffle. We got lost. Yeah, you got lost on him. Render to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and give God what's rightfully his. And don't seek applause from the hip and the savvy. The world just is what it is. The D. Have nothing to do with the sham and the shuffle. Oh, God's truth unfurled. And seek from the Savior rebirth of the Spirit. His kingdom is not of this world. That which is born of the flesh is flesh, and needs to receive a new birth. Unless flesh is reborn by water and spirit, it cannot inherit the earth. It's futile to curry the friendship of mammon, to win the approval of men. 'Cause we're born of the flesh, and to see God's kingdom, we need to be born again. Need to be born again. Wanna be born again. Gotta be born again. That's all right. That's okay. What are we gonna do? Yeah. There's got to be something in the key. That other one was too high. Oh, that was, yeah, we just did that yesterday. Huh. I don't know. I don't know. See, I don't have my books back there. I'm really hoofing it. Well, yeah, go get the book. Yeah, I need to do thank you stuff that I'm comfortable with. Yeah. Yeah. I'm up here sweating like a racehorse. Yeah. I should have my, can you grab my capo? They're both off. Yeah, well, I got to go home and take a shower. How about orange? Orange? Please? Matthew? Orange, please? I just want to run and hide. Yeah. Yeah. Well, anybody ever told you life has no guarantees? Let me tell you something. In Christ, there is blessed assurance. Apostle Paul says that the resurrected Jesus is our guarantee of eternal life, and that the Holy Spirit is his pledge that it's true. Blessed assurance, Jesus is mine. Oh, what a foretaste of glory divine, heir of salvation, purchase of God, born of his Spirit, washed in his blood. This is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. This is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. Perfect submission, perfect delight, visions of rapture now burst on my sight. Angels descending, bring from above echoes of mercy, whispers of love. This is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. This is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. Perfect submission, all is at rest. I in my Savior am happy and blessed, watching and waiting, looking above, filled with his goodness, lost in his love. Everybody. This is my story, this is my song, praise
Okay, I think we're ready to go. Now, I do believe we're starting a whole lot later, so is there a different time now? Or do I still look at that big clock? Big clock?
Yeah. Well, it'll be the same time no matter.
Or I don't have to cut it short or anything? Okay. Okay. All right. Well, thank you all so much for your patience. I think I need to say another prayer. Little bit of adrenaline and stress going on here, cortisol. Okay. All right. Let's have a word of prayer. Father God, I just praise you, Lord. I just want to praise you. You're so good. I think of how long ago I was here, and my circumstances have greatly changed, Father, but you are indeed faithful. You provide. You never change. You watch over each one of your children, and you mean us no harm. And I just want to thank you for that, God, and invite your presence into this building and into our temples to have intimacy with us, God. We can hear you, because there's another part of this gospel, of this grace, and it has to do with our healing here. It's the life and life more abundantly that you've given us here and now. And so, Father, I just thank you. I thank you, Father. I thank you, Yeshua. I thank you, the Holy Spirit. In the name of Yeshua, I pray. Amen. Okay, so this is all going to work. I was a toxic waste dump. I really was. It was horrible. Let me tell you the story. Okay. Some of you know I had breast cancer 16 years ago. I was 37 years old. I'll be 54 come December 14th. So it's been 16 years. I can't believe it. But that is how faithful God is. It was stage 4. Indeed it was. 7 centimeters in size, which is very large for a tumor. Yeah, it reached from my armpit all the way out to my nipple, and I could feel it like a rope. I didn't know what it was. I just thought it was fibrous tissue or something, very healthy, working at the gym and, into bodybuilding and all that kind of stuff. And they sent me home with some antibiotics telling me that it was like mastitis. And of course, after a 10-day dose of that, which probably killed all my gut flora, it was still weeping out my nipple. And so I went and had a mammogram, and that's when they saw it and did a lumpectomy, and then they knew they had to do a mastectomy. I did have the surgery. I figured, I'm done with kids. I can live without a breast. I did not opt to have the other modalities, chemotherapy or radiation. I just could not reason myself to wellness, poisoning and burning. It doesn't make any sense to my brain. I just couldn't wrap my mind around it. Not only that, I could not take care of my children and be sick. I mean, it does a real insult on your immune system and on your body. Your vital force, which Ellen says, if we were not created with as much as 20 times more vital force than we are today, we would be extinct. Can you believe it? The enemy wants to get us any way he can, and he's going to get at our bodies. We must really be aware that the enemy's coming after us. I mean, I don't want to make you paranoid, but people, he is, and he's coming any old way he can. He will disguise himself as an angel of light in that donut and that piece of cake. He disguises himself, and he says it makes you feel good. But it's also going to help you to an early grave, to diseases that we don't want, to the diseases that God never intended us to have. So I did have the surgery, a radical mastectomy on my right breast. And so, yes, it was treacherous and very scary. And as a woman, it was very, it does a hit on your femininity. You know what I'm saying? That was very impactful in my life. It really taught me something, which is being that I was thin and being that I was into bodybuilding and being that I was eating what I thought was a healthy diet, I came to realize, you know what? Sometimes things happen to us that, don't make sense, And so it's not always the fault of the person. You may look at somebody that's struggling with obesity or whatever the issue may be, but we don't know the chain of events or the circumstances that have brought them to that place. We can be no judge. We can point no fingers. And so that is one of the lessons that I learned in that experience, was that God is the judge, and only He can be the one to really say what was the cause. But I want to tell you what's happened to me. Some of you have seen me here. It's been, 8 years? I don't know. Danny and I came here, I think, about 8 years ago. And it's so nice to see so many familiar faces. I'm just so grateful, to be here again. It's just a miracle. My life has greatly changed since then. And a set of stranger-than-fiction circumstances, which I'm not going to go into here, landed me in Spokane, Washington. And when you think of Washington, what fruit do you think of? Apples. Yeah, apples. And I love them, don't you? Oh, yeah. So I got a job up there at the Upper Columbia Conference as a Bible worker, outreach coordinator, and one of my positions, I was working at a food bank. Spokane, which I'm considering now the North Pole compared to this weather, 5 days outside of summer. 5 days outside of summer, we had over 3 inches of snow. I woke up, and there was a blanket of snow on the ground. I'm like, this is madness. Where am I? That was just recently. Yeah. So anyway, I'm up there working for the food bank, and there's all these apples. They're coming out of every corner and nook and cranny. Apples, 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 bumper crops of boxes of apples. You can't even give them away. I mean, there's just so many apples. And so I was taking them home. And I'm thinking, I'm going to juice these bad boys, and I'm going to drink this stuff, and I'm going to be really healthy, right? I'm juicing these things every day. Well, months go by, and I'm just getting more and more increasingly debilitated. Debilitated. Let me tell you some of my symptoms that I had going on. Well, for one, I had migraines. The migraines were just excruciating, blinding. And I'm thinking it's menopause. But they would cause me to land me in bed for 3 days at a time, blinding, lights out. I'd be nauseated. If any of you have ever had a migraine, sometimes you just get nauseated and you're just blind, and days at a time when they would hit. Memory loss. I had cognitive decline. Couldn't remember a thing. I could call somebody on the phone, forget why I was calling them and who I was calling. Just like really bad. I remember going out to my garage. I live in an apartment, and I went out to the garage, and I needed to get into my garage with 4 numbers. It's a secret code. So I'm standing there 10 minutes just trying different things. And I've done it 100 or more times, and I for the life of me, I could not remember that code to get in. Memory loss. Also, just kind of crazy thoughts, just like madness. Like I'd be laying in bed and my thoughts are just whipping around and whizzing in my mind. And it felt kind of crazy. I was wondering if I had a brain tumor. Once you've had cancer, sometimes you feel like any little owie or any little thing that happens to you is cancer come back. It's kind of this phobia you get. What else did I have wrong? I had skin itching, coughing every day, digestion off. What else? Just a plethora of symptoms. And I tried to another one that was really bad was fatigue. Get out of bed, and I literally just exhausted. I couldn't figure it out. I work out, I juice, I eat lots of raw food. One thing I didn't do, which I've changed, I stopped eating organic foods, because I don't have the garden, foods are more expensive up there, and I just started using foods that were non-organic. Couldn't figure it out. And depression too, that's another one. Hot flashes, that's it, that's the other one. Now, I thought the hot flashes were related to my menopause. I am 54 almost. time and season of my life, I thought, okay, this is happening, but it could happen 20 times within 5 minutes. You know, you could be sitting there, and ladies, you know what I'm talking about, right? No, you don't? Okay, so it's like somebody turned on the heat, and you're like, whoosh, and you're just whoosh, perspiring, and then the next minute you're like freezing. You're pulling the blanket over you, and it could happen, like I'm saying, 20 times on a dime. Well, I went to the doctor because I had insomnia on top of that. I couldn't sleep at night. And they recommend they're going to give me all this stuff. And you know me, I'm just not about to take any prescription anything. And I went to see a friend of mine in Coeur d'Alene. There's a wonderful lifestyle clinic up there with some dear saints. They are medical missionaries in the highest sense of the order. It's called Life Tree Natural Wellness Center, and it's located in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. And it's an indigenous practice. They're under Turtle Island Network, which is some sort of indigenous network of practitioners. So I went to them, and she did this biofeedback thing on me. Some of you probably know of it, the MRA. She used that. And I have faith in this thing now because I've had it now several times, and it seems to be spot on every time she does it. Well, this time she said, Charmaine, you are registering for chemical pesticides and toxicity. Very high. And I was very shocked. I'm like, what? I mean, literally, I eat so clean. For those of you in my tribe online, you know what I'm talking about. I juice, I eat clean, you know. And I was really shocked by that. And I had to start backtracking to figure out what was going on. Well, I discovered with a little investigation, did you know that some countries don't even allow our apples into their country? Well, I found some inspection site that had dozens and dozens, probably over 100 detectable pesticide residues on the apples. Can you imagine? 10 or more of these things every day, and you're getting a concentration of those chemicals that are meant to kill things, kill living things. Well, it was killing me. What happened was one morning I was just at my limit. I could hardly function. And I literally grabbed my head, which felt like it was on fire. Another thing I had was always this sense of I was jumping out of my skin. I grabbed my head, I rolled out of bed because that's all I could do, dropped to my knees, and just called upon the good Lord. I said, God, I am doing everything I can, everything I know, and I don't know what's wrong with me, and I need you to help me. Help me know what is going on in my body. And that's when I went to see my friend. And she pinpointed this. So what did I do? What do you do when you find out these things? Well, you remove the insult, right? You take the abuse out of your life. And that's what I did. I stopped eating the apples. Not only that, I did a detox. And that included some products. Within 4 days, somebody went, ding, and the light bulb came back on in my head. 4 days. I will not touch a non-organic apple. You know that thing that you see with the witch holding out the red apple? Yeah, right. Don't eat it. Yeah, serious. So I'm going to talk about this. I was a toxic waste dump. Seriously. This is recent, folks. Toxicity. Oh. Okay, toxicity, the root cause of all disease. That's what they're saying. Let's look at it. The simple truth is what, folks? We are living in a sea of toxins. They destroy our bodies and our brains. And there's so many pesticides. And I'm sorry that we can't see. Oh, you guys do have the full version. I don't up there. Okay. So each year, 5.1 billion pounds of pesticides are used in the U.S. And according to the Environmental Working Group, over 287 known chemicals or carcinogens are found in babies' umbilical cord blood. Wow. Babies that have never breathed yet, never had 1 meal. That's an average baby's umbilical cord blood. So every day they're pumping out excuse me, thousands of these, I have to grab my water, I'm sorry. Thousands of these chemicals that are neurotoxic. that are debilitating to our bodies, that destroy our brains and our bodies and our natural flora. They're intended to kill life, and we're eating them. So for those of you that think these pesticides on food that you can just kind of rinse and they don't harm you, they're not intended to allow you to live. They're intended to kill insects and to kill microbes and any weeds and things living. What are the symptoms? I named some. You may have symptoms of chronic toxicity and you don't know it. So detoxifying might be critical to feel good and to have health again. So here are some symptoms. Fatigue, as I mentioned, muscle aches. I had that also, joint pain and muscle aches. I had that. My fingers. I don't have it anymore. Sinus problems, headaches. Another thing I had, sinus problems. And I just had this chronic inflamed lymph node. It just was always hurting. And what else did I have? I will come across these things as I go through the list. I'll remember more of my symptoms. So joint pain, sinus problems, headaches, bloating, gas, constipation, diarrhea, foul-smelling stools, heartburn, sleep problems, difficulty concentrating, food cravings, water retention, difficulty losing weight. This is huge. We will revisit that. Skin problems, eczema, psoriasis, canker sore, acne, dark circles in the eyes, PMS syndrome, menstrual disorder, bad breath, just to name a few. Disease. What is disease? Disease is really remedial, isn't it? Because if we went online right now, which I just got a screenshot from offline, if you go to dictionary.com, it says it's a disordered or incorrectly functioning organ, part, or structure, system of the body resulting from the effect of genetic or developmental errors, infection, poisons, but get this, nutritional deficiency and imbalance or toxicity. Nutritional deficiency. I was thinking about it. If you have a plant outside in your garden and it's looking really sickly, what would you want to do to it? Give me feedback. Thank you, sir. Whoever said that. You want to find out what's wrong, and you probably want to fertilize it, correct? Water it, fertilize it, give it what it needs, right? You need to give it the nutrients because obviously it's lacking some. If it has splotches, blotches, or even pests on it, it's probably because you need to really support the health of the plant, correct? So you need to give it the nutrition that it needs. But also there may be toxic things happening to it, right? Maybe something toxic got put on the plant. So you can see in our mind's eye a visual of how it would affect the plant, right? It's no different with us. I've seen it, having worked at Bella Vita. People would come in, hunched over, walkers, wheelchairs, looking sallow, sickly, digestive issues, parasites. You bring them on in, you detox them, and then you put the nutrient-dense, high-octane fuel in them, and guess what? They just went like this. That's what they did. Literally, you would see this debilitation, and then just like a blossoming flower, people would just perk up. Because why? We are made from what? God picked up what? The dust of the ground. Those same elements that everything is made from. And he created man and breathed into him. So it behooves us that we go back to those plants that know how to affixate those nutrients and minerals and eat them so we can build back up our vital force and our immune system. That's how we restore health. That's the only way, people. It's not in a pill. Pill is not going to solve any problem. What are pesticides? Well, pesticides are chemical or biological agents that are used to protect our crops from insects, weeds, and infections. Acutely toxic organophosphate pesticides, they're being widely used in our country. And they're used on fruits. They're probably used all around this place by virtue of looking around it. You know, the landscape here with all the orchards. And so they're used on vegetables, wheat, rice, olives, canola. And they're used on cotton and grass, or non-food crops. Pesticides such as malathion and chlorpyrifos are commonly used on all fruits, vegetables, and wheat. And they're also used on crops that are fed to the animals. So the animals are also inundated with these things. We get exposed by eating them. They're in and on our food. People can touch and breathe them in by putting them at risk for acute or chronic poisoning. I found this article online because I am up in Spokane and I started digging, trying to figure all this stuff out. So I found this article. This pesticide poisons kids, but it's still being sprayed on Washington crops. This guy that lives in Quincy, Washington, in Wenatchee Valley. Anyway, he's surrounded by apples, and their house is just feet from apple orchards. And they started getting sick. It says here, afterwards we all started getting sick. I think we all went to the doctor, he remembered. He said their symptoms included throwing up, diarrhea, scratchy throat, difficulty breathing, and stomach aches. Well, Washington's Department of Agriculture investigated and found that a pesticide called chlorpyrifos had drifted onto their property from the neighboring orchard. Okay, so guess what? Rather than stopping it, they're battling it out in the court. In the meantime, the Pacific Northwest farmers keep using it. And in 2016, Washington farmers used more than 200,000 pounds of the chemical on orchards and vineyards. And the majority of Christmas tree farmers also rely on this poison. So it's controversial, but they're still using it and putting these people at risk for who knows what, really. Which crops have it? Well, chlorpyrifos is a neurotoxic pesticide, and it's widely used on a variety of crops, including the apples, oranges, strawberries, corn, wheat, citrus, and other foods family and their children eat. In fact, over half of all apples and broccoli in the U.S. are sprayed with this stuff. So the USDA's pesticide data program found chlorpyrifos residue on citrus and melons even after being washed and peeled. So, if you think you're going to peel it off, it's not coming off. It soaks down into the plant. But besides, they spray it so many times, that it just absorbs into the plant itself. By volume, chlorpyrifos is the most used on corn and soybeans, with over 1 million pounds applied annually to each crop. So what are the health risks? We talked about them. So these organophosphate, they include nausea, abdominal cramps, diarrhea, dizziness, anxiety, huge anxiety. That's another thing I had going on, just huge anxiety, confusion, which can be quite severe but often are reversible. And some studies have found that chronic lower dose exposure is associated with respiratory problems, memory disorders, told ya, skin conditions, depression, miscarriage, birth defects, cancer, neurological conditions such as Parkinson, and get this, one nationally representative sample showed an increasing odds of ADD and ADHD for 8 to 15-year-olds with increasing levels of OP pesticides metabolites in their urine. It's all on the food. And when you think about it, because having worked inner city as an outreach coordinator Bible worker and seeing what people are eating in their homes, everything is coming out of a package. Seeing the food they get at the food bank. The surplus food, that's not healthy food. Donuts, packaged food, the commodities that come, this is unhealthy. French fries, hams, canned food. This is the food people are subsisting on and happy to get, I will add. They are happy to get it. Because of the prices, people are really in a pinch for getting food, and they're hungry. 1 in 5 children up there are hungry. Food insecure in Spokane. Huge problem. And the food they're getting is often this low-quality processed food, which is doing what? Yes, it's putting them at risk for disease and degeneration and cognitive issues and depression and anxiety and suicide and developmental disorders. And it's just continuing the cycle of this, to where they can't get out. That's why I think it's diabolical. There's a plan here. There's a mastermind. We need to be aware. We have a beautiful health message. Why aren't we living it and preaching it? If it can save people from these things, Why aren't we in the forefront growing gardens and teaching how to have gardens? People could get a bucket and dirt and plant some plants. And nowadays you have hydroponics. You can grow amazing plants in your home. We should be at the forefront helping people. This is survival. Nobody, I can tell you, having been a Bible worker, no one will sit down with you and study the 2,300 days, investigative judgment, the soon coming of Jesus Christ, Revelation 13 and the mark of the beast. They can't. They can't even wrap their mind around it because this is where they're at. They can't think about the feasts, the 7 feasts. How you know what I'm saying? They have no clue. Did you come at them with that? They have no idea what you're talking about. They can't wrap their mind around it. I was working with a gal, and honestly, I was supposed to be going in for Bible studies, but we never really did get to that. She had 3 children, and they all had developmental delays of some sort and another, and just a cycle of these therapists coming through her house. And I was just amazed as she would open the top ramen with the packet and the cold water on it, and the kids are chomping on this crunchy top ramen and the food that they're eating during the day. And you're watching this, and you're watching these therapists come in with, occupational and physical there, and I'm like, has anybody thought to look into her refrigerator or to see what this poor woman, 28 years old, is feeding her children because she's ignorant? She really had no clue. You know what I'm saying? And I don't believe for a moment that there was some genetic predisposition for those children all to be that way. I really don't. There wasn't anything with her or her husband or her family. So, I mean, Jesus started with healing. And this is where we need to be. And first we need to do it ourselves. Because we can't, you know what Danny always said? A bald man cannot sell hair growth ointment. Do you hear me? Are you bald? And are you trying to sell hair growth ointment? Because they're not going to buy it from you. I can guarantee you. They won't listen to you. People want authenticity. They want to see people that are really living what they're preaching. And they can see right through it too. Prenatal naled and chlorpyrifos exposure is associated with deficits in infant motor function in a cohort of Chinese infants. 18 minutes, okay. Organophosphate insecticides are used worldwide, yet despite nearly ubiquitous exposure in general population. That word ubiquitous means it's everywhere. You can't, even on your best day, you're still going to get it. You're still going to ingest it. You know what I'm saying? Unless you're out in some way far out place where the dirt's never been touched and you're growing all it's just everywhere. So they found that deficits in 9-month motor function in infants with prenatal exposure to naled and chlorpyrifos. Do you see that? 9-month motor function. These are developmental disabled children by result. Okay, this is very interesting because this guy, Tony Mitra, wrote this book called Poison Foods in North America. And what he found is going to be shocking to you. I know this is going to be shocking to you. You can just say, wow, that's shocking, if you find it shocking. North American foods are most contaminated by glyphosate, the active ingredient in Monsanto's Roundup weed killer, the most used herbicide on the planet Earth. Of their findings, Canada and USA produce the most toxic foods on the planet. Did you just see, not too long ago, it popped up on Facebook, those 38 million bees that have died because of some pesticides? 38 million. What are we going to do when we don't have any more bees to pollinate things? You know, the Word of God says we're coming to a point where there's going to be a famine in the land. Okay, Canada and USA, most toxic food. Okay, even imported fruits from China averaging 3 parts per billion contamination is 28 times cleaner than foods produced in the U.S. and over 45 times cleaner than foods produced in Canada. Thank you. Shocking. Just say it. Shocking. Canada produces foods with significantly higher levels of glyphosate than the USA. Cleanest of food suppliers are Peru, Thailand, France, South Africa, and guess what, Mexico? You know when you pass those grapes in the store because they say Mexico, Mexico? You ought to stop at those grapes and not go on to the USA grapes because Mexico ones are cleaner. And China. Desiccation. Let's talk about desiccation. This is purely diabolical, okay? Glyphosate in North America versus the rest of the world, check it out. North America, that's parts per billion. And all the favorite foods you all use. Chickpea, soy, chickpea, lentils, oatmeal, pea products, crackers, pasta, beans, millet. What is desiccation? It is a pre-harvest application of herbicides as a toxic drying agent on wheat, and it's established practice in conventional farming, okay? Applying herbicides like Roundup 7 to 10 days before harvest is viewed as especially helpful for wheat that ripens unevenly, a common occurrence. It's also considered a helpful tool to initiate an earlier harvest when weather conditions threaten plant viability. Other benefits are earlier ripening for earlier replanting and reducing the green material in the field. So this is all to benefit the right, big pharma. This has nothing to do with blessing the consumer or providing a more nutrient product for you. This has all to do with the money. Okay? So they spray this stuff with Roundup a week before they harvest it. So not only has it had it during the course of its growth, but they get a good dose of it right before they harvest it to make sure it dries it out and that you get a good dose too. Farmers euphemistically call this practice desiccation, and when used during wheat harvest, it can result in slightly greater yield. There's an argument with that with organic farmers. They actually say, no, it really doesn't make any more money out there. Okay, so glyphosate, average annual agricultural use. I don't know if you can see this real well, but you can see every single crop known to man here. It's being poured on. Okay, you see something favorite here for yourself? What do we see here? How about soybeans? 101? Yeah. Yeah, everything. Okay, let's move along. So health problems. I got 13 minutes. ADHD. We talked about that. Alzheimer's. They find it in the lab. Roundup causes the same type of oxidative stress and neural cell death observed in Alzheimer's disease. Encephaly. I hope I said that right. Okay, so I actually met somebody. I was doing some meetings up in Maine, and when I read this woman said, my daughter-in-law knows somebody that this has happened to, and they lived very close to an orchard within 3 miles where they were using Roundup, and the baby was born without a skull. Autism, known fact, 100% of autistic kids have leaky gut, 100%. And we know that these pesticides, glyphosate, kills the natural gut flora. That's another presentation. We'll talk about it on another day. Birth defects, huge. Brain cancer, breast cancer, all kinds of cancers. This is interesting. House-to-house surveys of 65,000 people in farming communities in Argentina where Roundup is used, known there as the fumigated towns, found cancer rates 2 to 4 times higher than the national average. Okay, in comparison of 2 villages, in the one where Roundup was sprayed, 31% of residents had a family member with cancer, while only 3% of residents in a ranching village without spray had one. So you can see the link. Celiac disease and gluten intolerance, huge. Everybody's allergic to something. Have you noticed? Yes. Everybody has food sensitivities and allergies and colon issues and all this gut problems. Why do you think that is? It's just all of a sudden we're all just allergic? Chronic kidney disease, exposure to glyphosate, pesticides, chemicals. Colitis, depression. Glyphosate disrupts chemical processes that impact the production of serotonin. Diabetes, heart disease, hypothyroidism, inflammatory bowel disease, leaky gut. We'll talk about that again. Liver disease, Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS. All of these things are being linked. MS. Amazing, huh? And this has to do with this stuff killing our natural gut flora, which is hugely important. Hugely important. Non-Hodgkin lymphoma, Parkinson's disease. The brain-damaging effects of herbicides have been recognized as the main environmental factor associated with neurodegenerative disorders, including Parkinson's. The onset of Parkinson's following exposure to glyphosate has been well documented. And it says, in lab studies show that glyphosate induces the cell death characteristic of the disease. Pregnancy problem. Just want to interject a story right here. Again, in my back in April of this year, I was working in Maine and doing a kids program. I have a behavioral change program for kids called Eat More Rainbows. And this woman came walking by at this homeschool convention, and she said that she was infertile, and she had a little baby. And she said she was using things, chemicals and pesticides and things like that, and she realized that she had done that, and she took them out of her house, and she got fertile. And now she says she's infertile again, and she brought these things back into her house. So very interesting. Obesity, huge, because what does the body want to do? It wants to enrobe toxins to protect you from them. Reproductive problems, respiratory illness. Okay, what about eating meat and avoiding the produce with all the pesticides? Is that a good idea? Probably not, because the animals eat it. What happens? In this study, they found organochlorine pesticides residues in meat. Okay, so it's in the meat. It shows that DDT residues, like the other organochlorines, concentrate more in the fat than in the muscle or lean meat. So it's in the meat too. And they found it, these pesticides might have originated from the feed of the cattle or from pesticides used as a dip control. Okay. So it's in the meat too, so that's not helpful. And in this study, I noticed that they found it in milk, yogurt, cream cheese, sardines, American cheese, salmon. So it's in other non-red meat animal products as well. Okay, I'm going to buzz right by this because we don't have much time. This has to do with heavy metals, which are not good for you, which are in all kinds of things, by the way. They cause all kinds of problems. The effects of heavy metals, renal dysfunction, skin lesions, bone mineralization, and osteoporosis. All right. Oh, this was kind of interesting. Fluoride lowers children's intelligence by 7 IQ points. In a meta-analysis from Harvard School of Public Health and China Medical University and Shenyang, for the first time combined, 27 studies have found strong indications that fluoride may adversely affect cognitive development in children. They said, based on these findings, these authors say that this risk should not be ignored and that more research is needed for fluoride's impact. Not a good thing. I gave it to my son. I thought I was doing a good thing. You know, and he has a little bit of that fluoridosis on his teeth from that. It's toxic. Makeup. Find chemicals. So this is one thing I wanted to bring to your attention real quick. Why it's so hard to lose weight. And we're seeing such an influx of obesity in society today. And it shows, research shows that a buildup of toxins in the body that bypass the liver processing end up stored in body fat tissue. Storing toxins away in body fat may package and remove the toxins to protect other organs and tissues. However, inordinate weight gain may result, as well as inflammation and health issues of the brain and body. So what happens? Your body enrobes the toxins to protect the body. So let's say you go on a weight loss kick and you lose a bunch of weight. Well, you release those toxins in your body, and now they're in high concentration. And what does your body want to do? Well, it want to work extra hard and reacts to increased toxicity by enrobing those with the fat cells to protect you from auto-intoxication. So that's why sometimes for women it can be very difficult to lose weight, is because the body is really working against what you want to do by trying to protect it. I'm going to run past this because I don't have a lot of time. So just getting back to it, Dr. Max Gerson, which I know some of you have heard about, he healed hundreds of people with terminal disease, stated disease is caused from two things. Let's say it together: toxicity and deficiency. Keep that in your mind. Two things: toxicity and deficiency. So you always want to find out what is the underlying cause. And I think of the leaves. The leaves are so important. We think of leaves that God has given us that will bless our bodies. He causes the grass to grow for cattle and the herb for the service of man. He gives it for our service, for us to use for healing. I like this statement because Dr. Hoshide Hagiwara said, the cells of the human body are much like those of green leaves. For example, the comparison of electrolyte minerals is much the same for both. There is an extraordinary similarity between chlorophyll and green leaves and human blood. In chemical structure, chlorophyll and blood would appear actually to be twins. The only difference is that chlorophyll contains magnesium bonded in its structure, whereas hemoglobin contains iron. We may well say that the fluid in green leaves is the blood of the grasses and trees. Conversely, I venture to maintain that green blood can become red blood in man. This is where we need to go for healing. God has put healing in the leaves of the plant. And I'm going to go over there in a moment, and I'm going to juice some of these healing leaves. We need a good juicer, right? These are important for healing. So if disease is caused by toxicity and deficiency, then we need to really up the ante and get these nutrient-dense enzymes and minerals and vitamins in our body in a good quantity to saturate our cells. Now, I can't sit down to a meal of 10 carrots, an apple, and 5 leaves of chard. Maybe you can, I can't. But I can drink its blood. Okay, and I can use the pulp for other good things, such as some raw crackers or something. Okay, so cleanse and regenerate your body with organic live juices, green smoothies, carrot juice, green drinks, wheatgrass. Excellent, they say 1 pound of that is good to 25 pounds of other juiced vegetables. Chlorophyll, that is going to, they say leaves actually have halos of light around the plant cells. And we assimilate that electricity when we eat it. So when you eat a salad, it's a whole lot easier for your body to digest because that salad already has energy and vital force in it. It's not like sitting down to a piece of animal product that has just dead, lifeless. Why would we want to eat dead things? I can't wrap my mind around that. Can you wrap your mind around that? I can't. Dandelion, the more bitter the green, the healthier it is for our liver. Beets, olive oil is cleansing with lemon juice as a good liver detoxifier. Garlic and ginger, these are excellent anti-inflammatories, antifungal, antimicrobial, and antibacterial. So, health benefits of juicing. Well, 100% of the vital nutrients are assimilated right into the bloodstream. Can you believe it? Without straining the digestive system. Raw juices contain nature's medicines. I mean, these are natural hormones and phytochemicals and natural antibiotics right there in the plant. The plants contain phytochemicals that even prevent and fight cancer. We need these. This is the healing. It's not the only healing, because you can still do all this right, and you can still die from disease. So we're going to talk about that. What is the other missing component? Because we can do all the right physical things. String beans, Jerusalem artichokes contain insulin-like substances for diabetes. Cucumbers and onions contain hormone-like substances needed by the cells of the pancreas in order to produce insulin. Garlic, onion, and radish contain natural antibiotics. And apples contain pectin that sweeps the intestines of toxins and binds with cholesterol and heavy metals and eliminates them out of the body. Other benefits of plant juices. Beets are high in minerals. They cleanse, build the blood, detoxify the liver. Cabbage juice, very good for ulcers, high in vitamin C. Celery, very good mineral content for indigestion, sour stomachs, and also it's an anti-cancer element. Dandelion greens stimulate bile flow and help cleanse the gallbladder and the liver. And kale, I love kale. Do you guys like kale? Love it. Kale is rich in calcium, iron, beta-carotene, and chlorophyll. As much as you can, eat this stuff raw. Parsley is rich in vitamins, minerals, beta-carotene, chlorophyll, and is an excellent blood cleanser and diuretic. And tomatoes, we already know they prevent prostate cancer and have an estimated 10,000 phytochemicals. We don't even know how many chemicals are in these plants. We have no real clue. God put all these things in there that work synergistically together to heal and bring benefit to our bodies. So I say, cleanse and regenerate your body with herbs, with juices. And here's some things that are in a product, and I don't have it with me. I had a couple of kits I was bringing with me, but I do have a kit, and it's really a comprehensive kit. These are those of you that really want a deep and good detox, okay? This is not mamby-pamby. It does not taste good. It's a really good detox, and it has things for cleansing the gut, also tinctures for cleansing the organs. It has a Super One food. A lot of Super One foods have nutritional yeast, and we're steering away from that as it is excitotoxic. So it also has a pre and probiotic as well. So you want to, when you take a probiotic, to make sure that you're taking a prebiotic, something for it to grow on. You know, you can take a probiotic, but if you haven't set up your gut microbiome for that, it isn't going to have as much of a benefit. So this is a cleansing system that I have, a detoxifying system that is available on my website, charmainevierra.com, by the way. So looking at a raw food pyramid, I always advocate eating more foods as grown, eating foods that are still live, that contain all the natural enzymes and nutrients and minerals and that life-giving vital force around the plant cells. I do superfood too. I've got a bunch of them over here today that we're going to look at. Very important. Superfoods, what are they? They're foods that are really dense in nutrition but low in calories. So they're going to be high in protein, high in omega-3 fatty acids, high in your minerals and your vitamins, but very low in calories. So we've got chia, flax, hemp, acai, barley green, seaweed, bee pollen, and my Super One food product. Okay, cleansing, detoxifying, and regeneration with live nutrition. What you can expect. I think one of the greatest benefits that you can really see right away is with your skin, okay? I see that right away when people do a detox and they start on with juicing and a real high octane, nutrient dense, live food plan. Their skin just lights up with a glow. Okay, because you're building back up your vital force. You understand? We want to help the body, about a time. Okay, we want to help the body heal itself. So I'm going to move over to the table and we can chat more over there. Okay? Do I need to end this anyway for your show? Okay, we're going to hop over here. Lights, camera, action. And I have a beautiful and lovely assistant, and her name is Lynn. Here comes Lynn. Uh-huh.
You want to take a 5-minute break?
I'm going to go wash my hands. I'd feel better if I did that, okay?
Let's take a 5-minute break. And so we're going to take a 5-minute break, or 10 minutes. But what are you going to do when you get home with your Roundup? Don't flush it down the toilet. Don't put it down the sink. It'll end up in your water. Don't pour it on the ground. Take it to the waste management place in your county, and they'll dispose of it somehow. But, yeah. So I guess we need to get rid of Roundup. That's right. Yeah. Not down the toilet, not down the sink, not in the backyard. Can't bury it. Okay, anyway, take 5, and Charmaine will be right back.
Okay, awesome. Wow, you guys are still here. Yay! Okay, we are going to make one of these high-octane juices. How many of you juice regularly? Regularly. Wow, a few hands that were up just went down. Thank you for your honesty. Okay, well, I told you guys, this is where the mystery happens in these plants that have absorbed the sun's energy, affixed the nutrients from the ground, and made them bioavailable for our bodies. And that electrical energy, which I like to use this, and I do this at every demo that I do. So those of you that have seen this, do not speak. Okay, so what is the most obvious characteristic about this cute little cutting board? Not that it's cute and little, because I already said that. It is. It is. It's wood. What else? Who said that? Very good. My triber here. She's on my Facebook, private Facebook tribe. Okay, so it's two-toned, and why did it get this way? How? How do you think? Different stains? Two different woods, clever artists. Very good creative answers, but not correct. It's natural. Yes. It's organic. Good answers. I'm going to have to help you out, though. Different nutrients. Never heard that one before. No. One is heat treated and one isn't. And this is a visual to help your minds grasp the idea that when you heat your food, it does change the food. Okay? Heat a nut, it changes the oils in the nut. It denatures the proteins. It kills the enzyme. It changes the food. Okay? We weren't meant to do that. Walking through that garden, Adam and Eve just picked things here and there. They trained the boughs of the boughs of the plant, the trees, to make their little house, and they could reach up and pick when they were hungry. Isn't that amazing? So everything was in its natural state, its natural milky state, with the vitamins, the minerals, the enzymes, the electrical energy of the plant. We'll just put that over there. So that is why eating more foods raw is really a good thing. And that's why when Danny and I got together, he says, we're going to do raw. And I'm like, whew, what's that? I had to go learn. So I went to Living Light Culinary Institute, where they have an associate chef training there. And I learned, and you learn how to manipulate foods to where they have all of those nutrients and enzymes and vital force all intact, yet they may have a cooked-like texture. And that's because you can manipulate foods, whether it's fermenting them or whatever, you're massaging them or whatever you're doing to this food. Okay, but we're going to start off making some juice. So this is a Champion juicer. There's all different kind of juicers out there. And the more expensive they are, of course, the drier your pulp is going to be, the less of your vegetables you're going to need. So this is kind of a medium one. It doesn't do real well with leafy greens. Plasticat, the manufacturer of this, did make a green attachment. So if you have a Champion juicer, you can buy the greens attachment, and I think it juices even wheatgrass. I mean, it's a really good green juicing attachment. And you guys know this does homogenizing as well. You can put the frozen banana in here and get the frozen banana yogurt. Yummy, yummy. The nice cream. Okay, so we're going to do our best as we put the greens in here. So this is a masticator. So I'll just show you. Different machines are different as far as how they extract the juice. So this goes around, and with these sharp things, it's like a masticating or chewing motion. I have a Breville, and I think I've kind of worn it out because the pulp is now getting kind of wet, and I put it through a nut milk bag. It's so wet, so I need to replace the mesh screen in there. But it's real easy to take apart, and on a daily basis I need easy. I don't know about you, but pulling things apart, you know, like the Green Star and those barrels, I mean, it was like 20 minutes trying to figure out how to get that thing in. It's like, oh, I don't have time for this. Okay, so this is going to have the juice come out here through the screen, and then the pulp comes out here, and you don't have to throw it out. You can save the pulp. There are recipes that you can make with the pulp. So we're going to go ahead and I better cut some of this up before we do this. And I'm going to have maybe my beautiful and lovely helper. Maybe you can just start. Have you used one of these before? Your champion? Yeah. Okay. All right. You want to go ahead and start putting things in there. And I will cut some of this up. Here you go. I'll let you put. And the pulp comes out here. So we're going to add some nice, delicious organic beets. And I have some celery. And as you can see, it can be a little difficult. We might need to chop that up a little bit, huh? Sometimes getting these greens through can be a challenge. There you go. Yes. So I'm not sure how well we're going to do with that. We'll put some carrots behind those to help it kind of go through. Yeah, this isn't quite the best setup, but we're doing the best out here with what we have. Okay. Awesome. So the pulp is pretty dry. And we'll put in another carrot. And I have some celery. I do like to drink this stuff every day. I'm one to juice every day if I have this stuff available to me. And I do have an apple. I think you can do all right with your fruit with your leafy greens without having an issue. Thank you for being a good sport and doing this job. Okay, awesome. All right, so a little more of this red chard, and we have some beautiful juice going on here. And some beautiful pulp, too. Oops. Okay. I'll have you turn that off. And what I'm going to have you do is just take this into the kitchen, if you don't mind. And I've got a few little... It comes with something to catch the liquid, the juice. Okay, so we have this beautiful juice. And I will have you take this, and then also you can take my juicer when you come back. God always provides help for me. Wherever I do a demo, He comes through, huh, Susan? He does. All right, so let's take a look at this. Life-giving. I mean, can you guys see where that is going to make some amazing blood? Would you like to try some, Lynn?
Oh, I would.
Here, let me pour some. We can toast.
Now I can have my energy.
It does. One thing about this food, you don't get drowsy after eating it, you know, like after a heavy meal. Cheers to, wow, the Feast of Tabernacles in heaven. Mm-hmm. Mm. Luscious. It is. Yum. Okay. Thank you. That is beautiful. All right. If you can bring back my cutting board, I'm going to get started here.
I'll get you cutting more.
Thank you. I'm going to finish this. Yeah, the big one you just took. And you can take this in there too when you come on back. Okay. So you see, guys, it's pretty easy, huh? Somebody, I've got a little bit here. Do you want some, Susan? Sorry. Can't stand here and make some for everybody, but here you go. Darla, would you like some? this dear soul in front? You can let people know how wonderful it is. What is it? Linda. There you go. Isn't it wonderful? I was like, thank you, Jesus. Somebody's here with a juicer. Okay, so we're going to move along to our first recipe. And I really enjoy using things that are... Can I give this to you? Can you be my assistant? Thank you. Yes, it does. Okay. So I am going to make a tomato bisque soup, and this is an amazing recipe. Now, the recipe is calling for some... Where is my recipe? Oh, there it is. Okay. It's calling for some avocado oil. Now, you don't have to use oil if you don't want. You could always use water to saute in. So we're going to take our onion, and the recipe is calling for 1 onion. And this is a huge onion, so I'm going to use half an onion. And I always like to give knife skills when I do my demo. So this is a good chef knife here, Japanese chef knife. And you want to wrap that hand around the handle real well and get your thumb up there so it's kind of kissing the back of your knife. You don't want to run that index finger along the spine, okay? Get a good grip on that. And then what we do is we kind of do a claw where you're grabbing the food item and you're keeping the tips of your fingers rolled under, and then you're going in a rocking motion. And this is a very firm onion. But as you can see, my knife never really lifts up from the board. I've got contact with the cutting board at all time, and it's kind of a forward-back rocking motion. So once you get the motor development of it, you can go along pretty fast. So we've got an onion here going in. And I like to use my veggie scraper because it saves the blade on my knife. Okay? And we're going to go ahead and put that into our pot. Again, you don't have to use any of this oil. You can certainly use water or veggie broth. And I'm probably going to have you over here, my lovely assistant, because I'm going to get this going, and I'm going to have you stirring this. If you want to turn on that burner and turn that up. So it calls for an onion.
Hi.
Yeah, I think we better turn it on high if we want this to get done timely. It also calls for some garlic, and I have garlic here. We have to improvise, so you guys are going to be patient with me, right? This isn't exactly how I do things, but we had to put it all. This is what we do out here in nature. I love garlic, by the way. Oh, I'm sorry. You can use this one's fine. Okay, I love garlic. Do you guys love garlic?
Love it.
Love it. So I have a micro blade here. A microplane, I'm sorry. And we're just going to run the garlic along this. And it collects on the back. And then we can just click, click in there. So this microplane, it can be really sharp, so you have to be careful or have a protective glove on. So we're just going to get our garlic minced up with our microplane. And I think I'm going to put like 4 or 5 garlic cloves in there. And what did we say about garlic? It's good for what? Antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal. You know, our dear sister Barbara O'Neill just got in trouble for calling cancer a fungus. And that it can be cured with sodium bicarbonate. She was just banned in her country.
Banned from what?
From teaching and preaching. So she's come here. She comes here and speaks. But, you know, when you say you can cure things or you share these truths, really, you have to be careful. I always say things like, you know, if it was me, I would, you know. So you're not prescribing or diagnosing or giving anybody, you know, a prescription of what they need to do to heal. Okay, so we have our garlic and our onions in there. So we're going to get those sauteed up. And is that getting hot? Does that feel like it's getting hot? I know this burn. Okay.
Not real hot, but it's
Because this burner was working if that doesn't work. Okay, so this recipe is also calling for some butternut squash. And I've already have this cubed up, but I think I'm going to cube it even further. It makes a beautiful soup like a tomato soup would be, like you would see a Biff soup, like if you were to use a creamy tomato soup. It's very beautiful soup. At home, I have an emulsifier. Do you know what that is? That little blender thing you can put down in the pot and it makes it all smooth. So that's what I use at home. I do have the Vitamix blender here. We can blend it up, but it's a very smooth soup. It's seemingly taking a long time to get hot in my...
it's steaming.
It is? Okay. All right, so I'm just going to cut this up a little bit more, the butternut, and we're going to go ahead and add that in there. Do you guys have any questions while I'm doing this? Would be a good time to answer some questions, maybe from my previous lecture, even.
What percentage of raw and cooked do you eat?
Oh, you want to get personal, huh? I don't know.
50-50?
Oh, more than that. I eat a lot of raw. I mean, I would probably say at least 75%. I mean, honestly, because I do smoothies and juicing and salad. A lot of times I'll eat my savory meal for breakfast. Like I'll have my big salad, and so it's quite a bit. It depends, but typically it's quite a bit. So I venture to say 70, 75%.
Raw or 25% cooked? Say that on the recording.
No,
70% raw.
okay, the question, I'm sorry, the question was what percent, you want to ask the question again?
Okay, I'll ask the question again. What percentage of raw and cooked do you eat every day, roughly?
So when I said that, I was meaning I eat 70% raw. Yeah, I eat a lot of raw. I want to live. I want to be well. I want to have health. And I've had some struggles, honestly. I talked about my toxicity, but just stress. Stress is a huge one. And the effects of which are hard to deal with. I mean, throwing a good diet at a stressed out person isn't necessarily going to cure and solve the problem. But when you start putting all the puzzle pieces together, when you do the 8 laws of health, it's not one law here, one law here, one law here. It's all the laws together work together. Like all the phytonutrients in here work together. So we need to do them together. So it's doing things to reduce the stress, eating right, drinking the water, getting in the sunshine, trusting in God, and doing those things together. And I have been through a lot of stress. So it is something that, I work at every day myself. So when I talk about stuff with you guys, I'm coming from a place of raw and real. I'm being raw and real. Yes, ma'am.
I was going to question you about your cleanse program. How many days do you have a cleanse, or can you do it a week, 10 days?
Right. That's a
is-
good question. Well, it's typically a 10-day program, but some of the products will go beyond the 10 days, and you just continue taking them till the end of it, which some of them will go 20-some days. So I always recommend people do at least 10 days. And I have a program in which I do like 3 days of juicing and 7 days of raw, and I include those ebooks in a cleansing system program, and you can find that on my website, charmainevierra.com. Anybody else? Questions?
I just have a comment.
Mm-hmm.
Hang on. We have a question here.
Uh-huh.
When I try to eat raw, I get hungry.
Mm-hmm.
Hunger is really a problem with, for me, eating raw foods.
Mm-hmm.
Even eating nuts.
Right.
I
Yeah.
still hunger for cooked
I
food.
understand. I consume a lot of food too. Brother, you just need to eat and eat and eat. No, I think eating some cooked vegetables, eating your cooked foods, eating your beans. I certainly wouldn't want to eat those beans that we had today and the chili raw. I mean, there are some foods that you just have to eat cooked. And so, Yes.
Dr. Paris said the other day, when you're hungry, you're not hungry, you're dehydrated, you need to drink water.
Yeah, but honestly, we do need nutrition. We don't want to become imbalanced and extreme in our views on health and diet to where we are no fun to be around. We can't go anywhere. You know what I'm saying? You know, our bodies God created to eat. And so it's important to eat at least 2 meals a day, you know, because things happen. Our body goes into a mode of making calories from protein sources if we don't eat correctly, you know. So it's important to eat a balanced meal and eat regular meals, I would say, is more important than anything. Eating regularity and a balanced meal at least twice a day, but including your cooked vegetables if you're really hungry. I do. I'll eat a big salad and I'll eat some steamed cauliflower or steamed broccoli and maybe some lentil soup, something like that. I may even have hummus or with a potato. I eat quite a bit when I sit down and eat because I'm not snacking all day. Yeah, so don't feel guilty. You don't look like you have a problem in that area. I would just eat until you feel satiated.
Back to the subject of stress. Everybody has stress in this world if they live here.
Right.
But a healthy body can certainly handle stress better than an unhealthy body.
Right.
If you're already sick to start with, and stress is going to hit, you're going down. So that's why it's important to stay up, because you're going to have stress.
Well, most of us, I would agree, are under low-grade stress all the time. And it's not a normal condition of humanity. God never intended it. So we have issues by having low-grade chronic stress all the time. Okay, part of that issue is our appetite, all right? Because when you have low-grade stress all the time, your brain is going to need fuel. It's going to be hit with that adrenaline. You're going to be needing fuel. And so you're going to be eating to provide those calories. And so we see the onset of obesity and obesity-related illnesses. So it is important to, I mean, when God advises us through his servant to get out in the country and to live in more simplicity, he's saying it because he loves us and because he wants our health preserved. Because this isn't healthful, the way that we live. It's not healthful. It's contributing to debilitation and disease and morbidity.
I want to ask a question because you talk about organic food, and then my question is about detox. And there are countries that don't really have like organic apples because they don't really have apples in that country. Are there recipes or alternative that would you still do a detox using apples even it's not organic?
I won't eat it. No.
Yeah, because
I won't eat a non-organic apple.
But there are alternatives, right? Like
sure, you don't have to use apples or other fruit out there. Pineapple.
Yeah, like
there.
Okay.
If you go to you guys know nutritionfacts.org, Dr. Greger. You know this man, Dr. Greger? Okay. Anyway, he has an app which have the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. It's a free app you can download, and he comes out with a lot of videos every week. He comes out with something. Anyway, he has an app that'll show you from the Environmental Working Group what foods are dirty and what foods are a little safer that you can eat, that are non-organic foods that you can eat, such as cauliflower. I think pineapples are on there, and avocados, that kind of thing. But you can download the app, so when you go shopping, you can choose foods that are organic, that you need to be eating organic and you need to avoid, that are the Dirty Dozen, but those foods that you don't necessarily have to buy organic because they're not as dirty. Nutritionfacts.org, Dr. Greger, he puts out a lot of YouTubes, and he also has a downloadable app, which I have on my phone, so when I go in the store, I look at that and I say, okay, I can get this, this, and this. And that helps with your budget because, like you say, sometimes we don't always have access to organic foods, and maybe it's hard for our budget as well. So you can have some choices. I eat a lot of cauliflower because cauliflower is one of those clean foods, and you can get it pretty cheap. We have a grocery outlet up in Spokane, and I'm able to get some of those things there. There's a question up here. So we'll just go ahead and put the lid on that and let it cook a little bit. I think it'll be fine. Okay. Thank you. You can just set that.
I just wondered, did you know all this while your husband was alive?
Of course. Yeah.
You did?
What
What
is your
did he
question?
die of?
My husband died of melanoma. That's what I'm saying. You could do all of this and still get sick. Wow. Because diet, exercise, lifestyle is only a percentage of why we're sick. In fact, if you look at Dr. Caroline Leaf, she says 75, 85 plus more percent of disease is diseases of the mind. So you could do all the right things and still be ill if your mental health isn't right. So, okay, so, all right, so we've got that cooking, and while we're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and get going on our chickpea tuna. Okay, how many of you have had this? It's quite easy to make, and it's like a mock tuna. And that right here's fine. Yeah, because I need these bowls for other things, and I just... All right, and so this recipe is going to call for a food processor. And this looks easy enough to use. I've not used it before, so bear with me. We're going to do this together. So for this recipe, we have some chickpeas. I will make these recipes available for you, okay? All right? I won't make this a secret. So we've got our chickpeas in there, and I need to move along because we're getting low on time. What's that? You can use, these were actually cooked by the sister Sherry in the kitchen, and she sweetly prepared these for me. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put that in there, and I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, yes, I do. Okay, I'm going to get our onion ready real quick. The recipe is calling for some garbanzos. It's calling for some onion, and so I'm going to chop this up. And just kind of rough chop that up, mince that up fine. Nobody wants big hunks of raw onion to chomp into. So we're going to add the onion. It's also calling for some red pepper. So I'm just going to take a little piece of this off. And we're going to just make some strips and then dice this up. I love red pepper in dippers, as in hummus is good too. So we're going to just dice these red peppers up nicely. Somebody says burning. I don't think it's burning. Is it burning? Do we need to stir that a little bit? Okay, so we've got that. It's also calling for some celery. Whoop, here's my celery. How's that coming along? Are things getting soft? Okay, so we have our celery. That looks lovely. It smells good, huh? Okay, so we've got that done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and... Now this is going to be like a meal, kind of. I don't want to over-process it. Like, I don't want to make hummus out of it. You know, so that looks pretty good. You all can't see that, so let me try to hold this up for you. Whoops. Can you guys see?
Kind of chunky.
Right. Okay. I'm afraid to run it. I'm not used to this machine, so I don't think I'm going to put it back in there because I'm afraid to run it and have it be too processed. So we're going to go ahead and put our garbanzo. In here. I think because these were homemade garbanzos, they're probably a little mushier than, let's say, you'd get in a can. I'm going to use this for another recipe. If you don't mind having someone back there rinse that out for me, I'd appreciate it. Okay, so we have that, and I'm going to add our veggies to it. Let me just mince those a little bit more. It's all about adding as much raw to a dish as you possibly can. And so we've got our raw onion, red pepper, and celery we're going to put in here. Let me see what this looks like. I don't want to make it too chunky there. So that looks pretty actually, huh? Yeah. Beautiful colors. Okay. Now we're going to give it kind of a little fishy taste to it. I'll have you take that and clean that off and bring that back. Thank you. What do you mean? Did somebody say ooh? I did add celery, ma'am. Yes, I did. We're going to add our seaweed. See my celery in there? Okay, so we have our sea vegetables. I have some kelp. So I'm going to add a little bit of kelp here. Kelp? Yeah, kelp is a sea vegetable. I love it. It's a good source of iodide, that's what they say. And so is my dulse. I love the dulse. It's purple. You know, things that are purple have the phytonutrient and anthocyanins that are good for memory and anti-aging. So that's our sea vegetable, and I love that. I love the color. So I don't use pepper, and it just kind of gives it that look. You can see in here. See that? It's pretty, huh? And I think this is getting a little brown. What I want to do here, Lynn, my beautiful assistant, how about we add now the recipe calls for some tomatoes. I'm going to add our tomatoes. And it's also calling for some veggie broth. Yeah, we can add the whole thing in there. Okay, so this recipe is calling for some vegenaise or mayonnaise or whatever you want to use. You can use your own mayonnaise. I don't have time up here today to make a mayonnaise, so we're going to use our vegenaise. You all are familiar with vegenaise, correct? Best Foods has a vegan mayonnaise? Awesome. Isn't it amazing, all these things that are becoming more exposed and novel out there? Also, we can add a little bit of our Himalayan salt in here. Yeah, I heard somebody say yeah. Gotta have that, right? Okay. So we're going to stir this up. That looks tasty. What do you all think? I love stuff like this because you can put it on a cracker, or you can just kind of put it on a leaf, like a lettuce leaf, with all the fixings like that on there. Or just eat it with a spoon, right? I could do that. You have somebody in your corner. She's offering little cups so you all can have a taste. Isn't that sweet? You guys need to, like, yay for her. All right. You know what, Lynn? Can I have you do one more favor? I have forgotten my lettuce leaf went back with my juicing things. Would you mind bringing my lettuce leaf? It was in my bowl. There's a lettuce leaf. Okay, so I like to put on different dishes that I make, like a sandwich or a wrap or something like that. I don't do a lot of bread. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't usually do bread. I use a lot of lettuce or a collard leaf or a kale leaf or something like that. Occasionally I do. It's not a never. It's just not frequent. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and add our, this looks amazing, huh? You guys hungry out there, huh?
That's our camera guy up there.
Our camera guy.
He's got the fish-eye view.
Oh, he does? Okay. All right, so we're going to add, ooh, I'm kind of making a sloppy mess. We're going to add, ooh, yes. Oh, thank you. So I'll let you put this in little bowls for them.
Oh, okay.
And then we will add, I love tomato, huh? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I hear you. So we can add some tomato to that. We can add our lettuce to that. Yes, indeed. That looks scrumptious. I love God. He gives us so many delicious things. He could have just given us one thing. We would all be down here complaining, wanting the leeks and the onions, right? Yep, he's a good God. Oh, thank you. I have lots of leaves now. All right, and I love onion, so I'm an onion gal. So we've got our onion we can put on there, and that is fit for a king, would you not say? Okay, yummy, yummy. Or a queen. Princes. Okay. All right. I'm sorry I've got to interrupt your feeding people. Okay, we will get that to you. You guys can have that. Now, oh, I'm going to use that. The last thing I want to do here, let's check on our soup. This is going to take a little bit. Now, for this, this is a tasty, tasty dish. Now, for this soup, what we do is we put it through the homogenizer, or help me, emulsion. Thank you, emulsifier. And since I don't have one, I'm going to use the Vitamix. And I'm not going to be able to do it because the show will be over in 8 minutes. So right now, I'm going to go ahead.
She said she gives you more time.
Oh.
No, don't worry about the time.
Okay, don't worry about the time. Okay, so for this next recipe, I'm going to make a quick dessert. And I like these little raw protein balls. That's what I call them, raw protein balls. And I'm going to take, I've got some cacao, which I love. It is the seed of the cocoa bean, okay? You could use, I don't think there's really a substitute for that, for this, because it is non-processed. So it's not like you could use a carob chip that's processed. This is pretty much raw stuff going in here. I've got goji berries, cranberries, chia seed. I have pine nuts for this. I have peanut butter. Not peanut butter, almond butter, sorry. And do I have everything here? I'm missing something. What am I missing? What am I missing? Oh, my dates. Some beautiful soft medjool dates. And hemp seeds, that's it. All right, let me just move some of this out of the way so we've got some working space here. Okay. Alrighty, so for this recipe, I need to put, okay, am I missing something? No, all right. So what I'm going to do for this recipe is I'm going to go ahead and put my dates. Yes, I am. I'm missing the S blade. Where is it? Oh, thank you. Can you rinse this off, my lovely assistant? You know what? I think it was just garbanzos, no onions, so it's not going to matter. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to add the dates in here that have been pitted. I soaked them a little bit. And we're going to make a date paste real quick. I love dates. They're very sweet and yummy. So we have that. We're going to make a date paste. Okay. All right, what am I doing? Who owns this contraption? Whose is this? Who can help me? Okay. I'm sorry. I'm used to my Cuisinart. Do I have it on here right? Okay, there we go. Yay? Nope, it's not the other side.
Oh, it isn't?
I don't think so. Okay, I need sherry.
I'll go get.
Oh, there we go. Nope.
Go ahead and get Sherry.
I'm sorry. I'm not familiar with this one. Okay, let me see. This. Maybe it's this way, huh? The handle, no. Oh, there, I got it. Never mind, Sherry, I got it. Sorry, I know you're making dinner back there. Okay, gonna make our date paste. And that really blends up real nice, quickly. Let y'all see that. See, nice date paste. You can actually make that up, put it in a plastic container, and use that for other things as well. I don't, I got it. Thank you very much, though. It would be nice to have a spoon. Thank you. Okay, I'm also have some almond butter I'm going to add. And you can use anything. I mean, if you have hazelnut butter, peanut butter, I just made these. They're just made up, okay? Quite frankly, I was doing a demo down in, I should say up in Central California. And I get discombobulated as to where I am. Okay, in Central California, and I just had a bunch of stuff left over. It was the last demo of the whole week. I had all this stuff left over, and I threw it in a bowl. And I just started stirring it like a big old pot of something, you know, and I pulled it out these little balls, and it was just amazing. I'm like, oh, this is so tasty. So it turned out really well. Okay, that's pretty much all we need to do with that. So, you can add more or less, it's up to you. So I'm going to go ahead and reach across there. We've got our bowl. We're going to take our amazing mixture here of date and almond butter. Doesn't that look tasty? You can serve that as soon as you want to. Is it for my helper? I'm sure I can share. So Lynn's going to come out and let you share that. I don't know how you're going to eat it either. I guess just kind of plop it in your mouth. Down the hatch, one shot. How is it? Awesome. I usually like to try things before I serve it to people, so... Okay, so we have this amazing sticky gooey mixture here. Now this is going to get hard too when it goes in the fridge as well, as dates do. And nut butters get hard too in the refrigerator. So I like to make these up and then put them in the refrigerator to firm up. Okay, I won't belabor that. Somebody will want to lick that when I'm done and take it back to the kitchen. Okay, so here's all the goodies that I have. I have my cranberries. I have pine nuts, and I just put them in whole. That's what I did. I didn't have a lot of time at this demo I was doing in Central California Conference, and I just started throwing stuff in a bowl. I have goji berries. That's a superfood. Those are nutrient-dense berries, tropical berries. So we're going to put those in.
What are these?
Cacao nibs. Very high in antioxidants. Like I told you, it's the seed of the cocoa bean. And I also have chia seed. Now, you could use chia powder. I've used that too. I've taken the chia seeds and put them in the blender and used the powder. How is that coming along, that soup? It's really boiling, that soup, too. Let's just check on that, make sure we don't burn it there. Another thing you could put in here that would be really tasty would be flax seed. There we have our amazing brew. I'm going to add a little more chia seed there. How's that coming? Okay. Did you all see me put thyme in there? Okay. There's a man running around here that has his own herbs going on. Yeah, I just met him. If you don't mind opening that when you're done. John introduced me to some of these herbs he's got here that he does in his yard down the street, which I think is just incredibly amazing. I've got to go see this phenomenon. Okay, so here is... Okay, what I like to do is I take the hemp. Now, mind you, I just thought of this while I was standing in the kitchen at this demo with this mountain of leftover food. And the one I had there, I also had some other things like coconut and stuff like that. So it was...
Hemp is very high in zinc.
Thank you, Susan. Okay, so we're just going to roll these little balls into the hemp. Aren't they cute?
Cute enough to eat.
See? And then we can just pop those either in our mouths or we can pop them in the refrigerator and they're going to set up nicely. It really doesn't matter how hard or stiff your mixture is. It's all going to get firm enough and, oh, they're luscious. I tell you, when like you're running out the door in the morning and you just don't have time to grab breakfast, it's just a nice, beautiful, healthy, nutrient-dense, full of protein little meal you can have. I will often put these in a bag and take them on my way out to the gym. See that? You guys see how cute those are? They are cute. Okay, we are out of time. I apologize for rolling over, guys. All right, rolling. Okay, I think that really concludes what I had to do up here today. Sunday, I'm coming at you with another demo, as well as Monday. Tomorrow, I will be speaking, and I believe tomorrow I'm going to do a talk on the vital force, how to build the vital force of your mind. Yes, sir.
Yes. After seeing all those stats on all the horrible stuff on our wheat and our beans and so on, what do you do for wheat?
You have to buy organic.
So it's not on the organic?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, you're going to have to start looking for the non-GMO organic. Yeah. And it's out there. You can find it. I even have found, like, you'll go in a grocery store, let's say a Safeway, for instance, and you go to the flour section, you'll have so many bags of just regular flour, and there'll be one little bitty bag at the bottom that says organic, and it's usually whole wheat. But don't be fooled by people saying, oh, it doesn't matter, or flour coming out of Montana, blah, blah, blah. It's just not true. I live up in wheatland. All those crops are sprayed. Uh-huh.
There's a company called Azure Standard that you can get anything you need organic. They grow a lot of it themselves, and then they outsource for others. That's up in Oregon. They ship all over the United States.
Right, so you guys can set up a co-op or something. Okay. Azure Standard. Healthy Traditions. Could you pour a little more of that in there for me? Okay, any questions?
This is not a question, it's a statement. I was dealing with a doctor in Eugene, Oregon, and he told us, he said, you know, they started messing with wheat.
Yeah.
And when the DNA of the wheat originally had 17 molecules on it. Now it has over 40.
Right.
Chromosome, wrong terminology.
Okay.
So that's over 40, so you have a rough time getting back to the original.
Right. Our food is being corrupted, and it's hurting and killing us. It's very sad. I would say we need to grow our own gardens. That's really the answer.
Charmaine, you were using dates there. You know, in the Bible it said that John the Baptist ate wild honey. And a lot of people don't know why the Bible says wild honey. Because in Israel, they make honey with dates. It
Really?
tastes a little more like molasses than honey, but they have man-made honey there out of dates.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Learn something new every day, huh? Spelt. Spelt as a substitute for wheat. But again, remember we saw those other grains are being sprayed as well. So we need to look for organic, whatever grain you're consuming.
What do you recommend for someone that may have post-traumatic stress disorder due to chronic stress over
I've got
like
it.
30, 40 years?
I was
what do you
clinically
recommend?
diagnosed with PTSD.
What do you recommend besides just the perfect diet? You know, because that's just a percentage.
I tried EMDR.
What is that?
It's not hypnosis, and it's eye movement desensitization something, and it's just a therapy that they use that helps your mind process it, like one part of the brain to the other part of the brain, that you're able to process the pain and move through the trauma and move on.
Okay.
And it did help me.
Wow.
It really did. One session, because I was en route to the therapy, and I had a phone call that caused me to have a reaction emotionally. And so when I went into her office, I was in that state. So she was able to take me and apply the therapy right away. And I had a great benefit. And this is the way my therapist put it. She says, the mind is like any other part of the body. It wants to heal. Okay? It wants to heal too. And she says, you have these events, these traumatic episodes in your life, and they're kind of like bookmarks. And sometimes when you can resolve one of those and resolve another one, the other one is like a domino. They start to almost resolve themselves, just like the body when you start to address the issues. And so she told me, your mind wants to heal. You're at that place. I can see that. And so she used this therapy on me, and it did greatly benefit me. But it shows up on nuclear images, PTSD. It's clinically diagnosed with characteristic hot spots in the brain that light up when you do a nuclear image. So you can actually be diagnosed with it through a nuclear brain scan, and that's what I had, and it showed it very plainly. It's a diamond that lights up in the limbic system. No. Yeah, stress. Yeah, pain, emotional pain and trauma over a prolonged period of time. Yeah, lit up like a light bulb. So, and I'm still working through it. I don't think I've arrived. Here's my protein balls. We could cut them. We can cut them, but this is, I want to show everybody, aren't they beautiful? And if you put them in the refrigerator, they'll harden up, which will be nice. But these are little softies. We'll call these little truffles. Okay, well, that concludes my demo and my talk today. I hope you all have enjoyed it. What we can do with the soup is I'm going to run it through our Vitamix, and I don't want a volcano because it's pretty hot. So she took them. Oh my, that is a wee bit sinister, don't you think? Definitely sinister. I didn't know she had that in her. I'm going to have to get a new assistant that isn't so sinister. Okay, so this is some of Brother John next door, some of his thyme, and it looks beautiful. He says he grows everything down there and he makes his own stuff. So we're putting in some thyme in this soup. I did. I like it. Do you like it? I think it'll be luscious and yummy. I honestly think I'm going to need a little more salt because that was... Okay. So I'm going to have to gingerly take this out of there and use this Vitamix. I don't want to get burned today. It's the last thing I want to do. Yeah, can I have a ladle? Can somebody grab me one? Thank you. Brother in blue shirt who's been very helpful. David. Thank you, David. Okay. Whoop. All right. It's always fun to do demos. I was in Fiji, if you can imagine. Okay, you're at the market in Fiji, and they don't have shopping carts. And it's a market. It's not a grocery store, okay? So they give you a wheelbarrow. Yeah. And so you can hire a man to push your wheelbarrow for you for a few dollars, or you can push your own wheelbarrow. And so I'm walking through the market pushing a wheelbarrow, and you put things in the wheelbarrow. And of course, if they see that you're American, you know, that's when the cabbage just went up to $15 for a purple cabbage. Yeah. But to the sister that asked about, you know, what do you do when you're in other countries? You know, it is hard. You have to make, I mean, the demo I did there, I did stuff like I do here, only I had to use their ingredients. So like when I made a smoothie, I was using their native greens, whatever that thing was. It was like a spinach. I made a salad with raw ferns in it, fronds, and, you know, you just have to work with what you have. It was the most bizarre thing, but it was a lot of fun because you just learn to do different things. Okay, so we're going to take our beautiful butternut, which is now soft, and our tomatoes. And this soup is quite lovely. This is one of those soups to have in the fall when it's getting cold. I don't know if it really does that around here, but I have acclimated to Spokane weather.
Wow.
Yeah. I have. It's like I don't need a coat on when it's 40-something outside, you know? Yeah. Okay, maybe this is enough for now. I'm just trying to get the big chunkies out of here. I don't. I smooth the whole thing, but it's not like I process it real long. It's a little bit textured, but it is still... It is a really nice tasting soup. Let me get all these out of here.
It doesn't have 1,000 calories per cup like the heavy cream kind.
Nope. And to have it with some nice, delicious bread, actually. Some nice, crusty bread. It's really quite lovely. Some hummus or something. Or this, yeah, a nice sandwich. Okay, let me see. Just going to take some of that juice off. So I would use my emulsifier. It's so much easier to use that little handheld blender if you have one. All right. Put something over that just in case. We always want to take our Vitamix down so we don't have a huge eruption. That's about it. I think it's pretty blended. See that?
Beautiful.
I'll let you see it as I pour it out. See that? Now you could use your own broth. You see we use that pre-made broth. And I've actually not used this brand before. We use this. So you could use... Is she still over there with those protein balls? What is she doing over there?
She is really chugging up over there.
What is she doing over there? She's spending a little bit too long. Okay. Yep. I'm going to have to check on her. All right, this is my bowl. My spoon, since I don't have one. It's always a good idea to test food before you serve it.
It's a good idea.
Yes, it's a good idea. It's luscious. You know what I would add, though? I would add a touch of honey to it. You know, tomatoes just aren't always sweet. I would add just a touch of honey would do it. I need some honey. I need a little bit. Susan, could you grab some honey out of the kitchen? Just a touch. Sometimes you have to doctor things up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And this needs just a touch of honey, then I think it'd be perfect. Okay. Once that honey gets here, I think we need to put some in a little taste test for you guys. Well, thank you so much for your patience today. We'll be better ready to go Sunday when I do my next demo, so it won't be so. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Do you guys like that? It's quite luscious, isn't it? Very healthful. Getting all these superfoods in there. That's a good treat. I can do that. I don't need anything else. I don't need any other. Okay, so your tomatoes, I think, could be a little sweeter, so I'm going to put in a little bit of honey. And I think that will do the trick. Susan didn't get one up here. Okay. I'm not sure what we have to give everybody a little taste of the soup. Do we have any kind of cups that would be paper cups? Like heat, what am I, thank you.
No, it'll cool off enough.
It's pretty hot. I don't know, I'm kind of scared. But anyway, I think that will do it right there, that touch of honey.
I'll give you another spoon.
Okay. Well, you guys aren't leaving, so.
Now it's food up there.
Yeah. That's really kind of what it needed. I could even put more in there. It needed the honey. I like that. I like soup. Do you guys like soup? I love soup. Soup and some good bread. Or a cracker. Do a homemade cracker. Well, for Sabbath, I'm going to be talking about, I don't even remember the name of my thing. The vital force of the mind. And we'll be looking at the mind and how that is implicated in disease and health. Because that's a one piece. We could do all the rest right, but if we got that one piece wrong, we're still going to be unhealthy. Oh, yay. Look at this. You're so kind. Okay. Any more questions? You want to use these little trays, and we'll put them on the trays? Sis? Have this sister here do this for us. We'll get these out to you guys. It is so neat to see this sister. Now, I want to tell you, I have an online Facebook group. I launch different challenges, juicing challenges, clean eating challenges. I've got different things going on there. I'm going to be doing a gut health as soon as I leave here. And I come on with live podcasts, and you guys could sign up for this stuff. And I have an online private Facebook group. It's a tribe. And this dear sister in front, can you stand up and tell everybody your name again? She's in my tribe. So you can tell them a little bit about it. Any benefits that you've had. I'm putting you on the spot.
If you need encouragement for detoxing, she has the 3-day detox, and then you could go online and download the book, and then other people are commenting about what they're doing, and showing the pictures when
they're putting their food up, and yeah. It's a lot of fun.